So my favorite saint growing up was my confirmation saint, Saint Michael the Archangel. And a lot of that has to do with growing up. Whenever I heard his prayer, my mom would say it often before school, but I really liked the part where it said, lead all souls to heaven, especially those in most need of their divine mercy. I felt like it was almost a calling to me as a Christian, because we're not just supposed to help the people who are already in the faith or are more receptive to Christ, but we're also supposed to help those who aren't as receptive to Christ's message and help them kind of see that, whether it being by actually telling them about it or just by being a good example. It felt really personal to me. That, and it also gave me some comfort knowing that an archangel wants to help me go to heaven. Feels very reassuring that someone's got my back.
I think St. Paul is my favorite saint because I think he's kind of nice to people. He's kind of sinner, listened to God told him to be nice to everyone, and he really likes to follow Jesus' his disciples. I really want to be with God, and my faith, I really want to be with him so much. I love to pray every time I eat a meal, before I eat and go to bed. I just love to pray a lot of times.
My favorite saint and the saint that I go to most often is Mary, Queen of all Saints. And Mary holds a very special place in my heart. I go to her is because Mary is a mother. She's our heavenly mother. And so she is, nurturing, comforting, loving, supportive, but she's also strong. And she reminds me that I'm stronger than I think I am, and that her son Jesus can give us strength. And so I go to her in a lot of suffering and a lot of times of need. As our heavenly mother, when we go to Mary, she prays for us to her son Jesus. She also experienced a great amount of suffering here on earth. She had to go through the crucifixion of her son. And as a mom, I can't even imagine a pain or suffering any worse than that. And so she understands those sufferings, and she's going to bring your needs to her son Jesus so that you do not have to suffer. So that's why I go to Mary, and that's why she's my favorite saint.
My favorite saint is St. Francis of Assisi, because he was born into a rich family, but he gave all that away to live a life of poverty and serving the poor. He's also the patron saint of animals. He loved to spend time in nature. There's a couple stories of him practicing his preaching or just preaching to the animals, and they would listen. They would just gather around and listen. He also had the stigmata, which are like the wounds of Christ. So you would see on his hands and his feet and his side that he would share in Christ's suffering as like a physical, visible sign of Christ's suffering. Another cool fact about St. Francis is that he set up the nativity scene that we now have around Christmas time. So Jesus in the manger with Mary and Joseph and the shepherds and all that you probably set up around Christmas time. St. Francis was the first one who started that.